Hello, this is D, and I'm back with another video. Now today, I'm just going to give you my impressions on the S90C, S95C, the 2023 Samsung QLED, or I should say quantum dot OLED televisions. Now, I've had this TV for about a week, and I have to say I am really impressed with this TV. Now, if you guys have been paying attention, I recently got an S95B. I got it about 3 months ago, and I was really happy with that TV, but I got a really good deal on this S90C with a second generation panel. Now, I want you guys to take notice to this second generation panel because it's gonna make a difference on the image quality that you're gonna get on this TV, and it's gonna make sense to you guys why I actually updated my TV. Now, the S95B, like I was saying, was a fantastic TV. I was quite satisfied with it. Now, a couple of updates actually reduced the brightness on that television. A lot of people were not happy with that. Now, you could mitigate this by going into the service menu and adjusting some of the values to give you a much brighter image. Nonetheless, most people aren't going to do this, and a lot of people were disappointed that the TV wasn't as bright as when they first got it. Now, the S95C is a different panel than the S95B. Now, the first S90Cs that came out, they came with a first generation panel, and some of them were mixed with a second generation panel. Now, after May, all of them, I would say the majority of the S90Cs that are on the market actually have a second generation qd-oled panel. Now, the difference between a second generation and first generation qd-oled panel is the tolerance of the panel, so it can get brighter. It's also going to be less resistant to burn-in, and the colors are just a little bit better on the TV. Now, the most important thing is that it gets brighter. That's the first thing that I noticed on the S90C, and spoiler, I got a S90C with a second generation panel. Now, to take it a little bit further, if you have a S90C with a second generation panel, you can go into the service menu and you can actually tell the TV that you have an S95C panel, and bam, your TV is now doing the processing of an S95C. So you get all of the brightness, all the values change automatically and match that of an S95C, which makes sense seeing how both of them are actually the same panel. Now, as we go through some of the footage that I have here, it's RoboCop, and I'm just wanting to show you guys how the image quality is on this TV. I'm gonna go through some other content. We're just doing a little bit of a talk over and an introductory into this TV. Now, like I was saying, so I got a second generation panel. I changed it in the service menu to perform like an S95C. Now, the good thing about an S90C over the S95C is that it doesn't have a One Connect box. Now, the One Connect box that is on the S95C, you're limited in the bandwidth that you have on that. So you can't do the full Chroma 444 at 12 bits. You just cannot do it on that television. You're actually stuck to 40 gigabits per second on the bandwidth on those televisions. It's just the way it is because of the One Connect box. It doesn't have the latest HDMI, well, the full bandwidth. Now, they do use display compression technology on it, so you are able to still get 144 hertz, but some users are reporting dropouts because of this. Now, the S90C, it has the full 48 bandwidth that you need for full chroma subsampling on a television at 12 bits. So you're gonna get 444 at 12 bits, it can do 144 hertz, and you're not getting any type of blackouts on this TV. So this was definitely the choice for me, seeing how I save a lot of money on this TV over an S95C. Now, it's about at least $1,000 to $2,000 savings, depending on what market you get in and what sale you get the TV on. Nonetheless, it's a lot cheaper, and you're getting the same performance as an S95C. So with all of that out of the way, let's just get into the benefits of this television over an S95B that has a first generation panel. Now, if you do get an S90C that has a first generation panel, you're gonna have the benefits of 144 hertz right out the bat without having to do any type of shenanigans to get it to work. The S95B, you had to do some little tricks to actually get it to output 144 hertz correctly. That's not the case with the S90C or the S95C. It doesn't. Of course, I talked about the latter. The S95C does have some dropouts. Now, to be fair, recently a firmware update has dropped, and apparently this issue has been fixed. So I'll give you guys an update on that situation when I find more information from the users that have that television. Now, this TV is a fantastic TV for gaming. It is so bright. My panel is really clean. Now, that's the advantage of a quantum dot OLED. You don't have the same uniformity, or I should say the bad uniformity that you can get on an LG OLED or a WOLED. Those don't have the same uniformity as a quantum dot OLED. These sets are pristine. Now, I'm going to run a test here so you guys can actually see how good the quality is. Bear with me as I pause this here. It's a dirty screen test from Modern Wise. I'll link it in the description down below so you guys can check it out for yourself. Now, this is a very good test to see the quality of your panel, to see if you're going to have any type of smearing, if you're going to have any type of banding. It's going to be present because as the scene pans from left to right, you're going to see it. And now, if you have an LG OLED, you're probably used to that when you watch hockey games or anything that pans, that you can see some of the uniformity on the television. With a quantum dot OLED, that's not the case. Now, the proof is in the pudding, as I like to say, and you can see right now for yourself that this panel is exceptionally clean. Now, you're not going to get any smearing, obviously, because it's an OLED panel, and the pixel response time is pretty much instantaneous. So it's going to be a blur-free experience on an OLED panel. But like I said, you don't have any type of banding present. So you can watch slow panning scenes, you can watch hockey, and it's not gonna affect your viewing experience. Now, if you've owned an LCD in the past and you've watched anything that has white on it and it pans like a hockey game, you can tell that the uniformity is quite poor. And as you can see from this test here, we have a really good panel. So what I'm also gonna do is I'm gonna run the 1% slides. I gotta find them here. Here we go. So these are the 1%, I believe up to like 30% gray slides. Now this will really show if your television has some banding. So let's just play this here. Let me get my cursor out the way. Now it's going to flash, it's going to go 0% obviously, which is black, so it's going to go 1%. Now as you can see, it might be flickering. I see some flickering on my camera, and that's just the camera picking up the light, but it's a solid image. Now this is 1%. If you have any type of banding, you're really going to see it on the 1%. And that was pretty clean as you're going to get. Now at 5%, you can see we're not seeing any type of banding. This is a very clean screen. And it's really important when you have dark scenes that you don't have banding because it shows up in those dark scenes. And another advantage of QD-OLED over a WOLED is that it's near black representation is much better. You can see some graininess, you can see some banding in some of the WOLEDs when it goes very low, like 5% grays. You're not getting that with an OLED television. So as you can see, my panel, it's really clear. I'm extremely happy with it. And I gotta say overall, it's just a fantastic TV. Now I'm gonna switch this television right now to HDR. So let's close this screen out here and we're going to switch it to HDR. I'm also going to put on an HDR video. Now I'm recording this in SDR, and to be honest with you guys, I did record a take of this in HDR and it was quite a good take, but the footage, my S23 Ultra just wasn't capturing the HDR as good. And I feel if I'm going to talk about this TV and show you guys this TV, I got to show it to you in its best light. And that video footage just wasn't representing this television. So unfortunately, I can't show you this in actual HDR, but it is in HDR. And over YouTube, over this video, you're going to see that the color's a little bit richer. But nonetheless, I just want to show you how good this TV looks with HDR content. Like I said, I wish I could actually put it in HDR because you'd get a much better representation. But let's just look at the colors and you guys be the judge. Okay, as you can see, we got some really bright HDR. You can see that this color on this TV is just vibrant and it's even more beautiful in person. Unfortunately, I'm capturing this in SDR, so you can't really see how bright and how colorful this HDR is, but you're just gonna have to take my word for it. This TV has fantastic HDR implementation. Now I'll show my HDR settings in another video. I'll go through it and show you guys what I use for HDR, what I use for SDR. But in this video, we're just gonna concentrate on the image quality. And as you can see on your TV, it's just a beautiful image. It's so bright and vibrant. You're not gonna get this with a regular LG or a WOLED television. You're just not going to get it. It's just a different technology. The quantum dots give you more accurate color. It gives you more color volume. It's just a better looking image. And on top of that, this TV is fantastic for gaming. I cannot emphasize how good this TV is for gaming. My response time is good, and once again, we're enjoying the benefits of an OLED television with the instant response time. We're not getting any blur on our images, and we're getting bright, vibrant HDR. Now, that was something that wasn't really possible on OLEDs in the past, because the OLEDs got maybe up to 1,000 nits if you got lucky, but for the most part, they were running at like 800, 900 nits. So they weren't really running that bright. So the quantum dot, or the introduction of the quantum dot OLEDs from Samsung, we're getting the best of both worlds. We're getting a very bright, vibrant image that we're used to on LCD, but we're also getting the inky blacks, the infinite contrast that you get with an OLED display. And the results are just breathtaking. Hopefully my recording is able to capture that, but if you don't want to take my word for it, just go to your local Best Buy, look at the quantum dot OLEDs, look at them beside other televisions, and it's going to be quite apparent that they are in another league. Now, before I get out of here, I'm just going to show you guys some gameplay. Right now, I want to show you some footage of Alan Wake 2 running in HDR. I recorded this on my RTX 4090 on PC with ray tracing, with path tracing, everything was turned up. As you can see, it looks incredible. Look at the detail in the ceiling. Look at the black levels. Everything is just very sharp. So I could just go on and on about how great this television is. But in short, I think this is one of the best TVs that you can get on the market right now. Now, I know some other people out there, they are looking at the Sony model. The Sony A95L also has a quantum dot panel inside of it. Now, that TV is excellent. It has great color reproduction. It has great processing, great motion. It falls a little bit short in gaming, and not because of the latency. Usually the Sony TVs have a lot more latency. This year, they corrected that problem. The only gripe that I have with that TV is that when it's in its game mode, you don't have as many changes that you can make in the menu there. So you're kind of stuck with the image quality the way it is. Whereas on the Samsung television, you have access to a lot of controls in the game mode that are just not present in a lot of other manufacturers' televisions. There's another feature that I want to talk about on this television, and that is the frame interpolation. Now, if you have 30 FPS content, and you put on the frame interpolation, the game frame interpolation on this television, you're actually getting image quality, you're getting smoothness that kind of looks like 60 FPS. Now, I know it's madness what I'm saying here, and every time somebody says something like this, everybody just jumps out and says, what about the latency? The latency is going to be horrible on it. I got to say the latency is very low in this mode. It only adds maybe about 30 milliseconds of latency on top of what you have already. Now, with frame interpolation on there, I think that's a pretty good compromise, seeing how you're going to be playing a game that feels like 60 FPS over 30 FPS. So this is something that console gamers might want to look into. If you have a Sony PlayStation and you're playing games at 30 FPS, using the frame interpolation on this TV will help you achieve 60 FPS, at least the feeling of it. It's similar to what frame generation is doing, but of course it's not the same thing, but it kind of gives you the same effect. And that also goes for Xbox games. Say, for instance, Starfield. Starfield is locked at 30 FPS on the console. On this TV, you would have a much smoother experience playing that game on it with frame interpolation turned on. As well, this game has Game Pass right in the television. You can play cloud games directly from the TV as it has a native app that supports xCloud. Once again, we have some gameplay up here of Forza Motorsport, the latest one from Microsoft. And I have to say, this game looks fantastic in HDR. Now, on this television, this TV it's just a treat to play games on. If you're playing PlayStation games, if you're playing Xbox games, if you're playing PC games, this television has you covered. It does 4K up to 144 hertz. There are no other TVs out there that are doing that. They're all capped at 120 hertz. So this is perfect for a PC gamer. Now on consoles, you're capped to 120 hertz, but on PC, you can go up as high as the display will support. And I will say 144 hertz, it really does play nice on this television. My honest personal opinion, I really do believe that the Samsung S90C and S95C are the best gaming TVs on the market right now. I think the LG TV is also a great television. The C3 television, it doesn't get as bright as this TV. Now, the G3 does get brighter than this qd-oled. However, it gets so bright that it gets washed out and it loses its color volume. This maintains its color volume, and you're getting about 14 to 1500 nits on this television. And if you want to go into the service menu, you can do some tweaks and you can get even a higher nit output. Now, I don't recommend doing that. I say just leave it at its default settings. I believe 1400 to 1500 nits more than enough for HDR. Anyways, I wonder what you guys think about this television. Is this on your short list of TVs to get? Are you thinking of getting an LG OLED television over the Quantum Dot? If that's the case, let me know in the comment section down below. Now, I think this is the best TV for gamers. I think if you are just a movie watcher, then you can go ahead and get the A95L Quantum.OLED from Sony. But if you like gaming and movie consumption on your television, the Q90C as well as the Q95C is definitely the way to go. And if I had to give it a rating, I would rate it a 9 out of 10. Anyways, let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. And like I usually say, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. And I'll see you guys on the next one.